Hey guys, this is Daniel with Pwn CNC, and I am excited to share with you one of our huge projects launched on Black Friday of last year, and that is our conversion kit. I'm standing in front of the Shapeoko 5 Pro. I've already done a video on this one, but it basically our electronics and our conversion package is our controller, our steppers and cables and that sort of thing. You basically rip all the electronics off from a machine, which obviously will void a warranty if you just bought the machine. Put our conversion kit onto it and you get access to a whole host of features, add-ons, accessories, all kinds of things that you can either develop yourself or buy from us from our store. I'm also standing right next to the first Dominator prototype. I'm gonna give you a quick little tour over that because not only does our Shapeoko 5 have the conversion kit, our electronics package on the Dominator is our conversion kit. So it's literally the spindle stuff we were really good at. We've got the electronics package, which is our conversion kit. And now we've got the mechanicals with our Dominator machine. So we'll take a look at these two machines as well as the Shapeoko HDM. So these are three machines that are converted using our conversion kit with the Masso touch controller, 2nm or 3nm stepper motors, and all kinds of features, including a rotary, lights, accessories, external e-stops, I mean the whole 9 yards. I'm excited to share all of that with you in this video, so stick around. Here we are standing in front of one of our conversion kits as well as our second converted machine. This is the machinist size, the smaller machine. We've put our own stepper motors, our own Masso controller, the cabling and all that. That's our second machine we've ever converted, second only to our Shapeoko 5 Pro that I showed you earlier. So in the kit, in your conversion kit, you're going to come up with it. You're going to be provided with a variety of parts. The most important being the Masso touch controller. Inside, you'll find our wiring. We've got a nice wiring box to keep everything nice and tidy and clean. All the wire inlets are coming in from the back. We've got a 6X Masso branded relay module here. So there's 6 relays, one of which is assigned to the enable function, which is described in the Masso documentation, along with everything is all wired up and ready to go. On the back, you'll see our inlets panel, which we've already pre-wired a variety. These are all the stepper motors. Here's our power control, spindle, ATC, a rotary, tool setter, XYZ, and even a laser. So all that's in there, and there's plenty of expansion ports on here so you can add even more accessories as you or we develop it. We've got 4 stepper motors in either a 2nm or a 3nm size. The Z stepper does include the brake automatically, so it's not an additional or paid option. The Z motor with brake, and then 3 standard motors for your X and 2 Ys. The same thing goes for our proximity switches here. We have 4 of them, 1 for the X, 2 for Y, and B is the other axis that the Masso calls it, as well as our X axis. Forgive our background mess. We're still working on cleaning up the warehouse and getting it all ready. You guys are more than welcome to come in and visit us. Our sign lights up now, which is super exciting. We've got the demo area and the shop area. I'll show you a tour video later on. But here is our control box. It's got aluminum panels, HDP on the side, just like our VFDs and our pneumatics enclosure for the ATC. On the right side of the plate, we've got our standard EMI filtering power inlet, which is our 110 or 220. There's a switch on this other side of the power supply that allows you to switch it from 110 to 220 power input. Both are available, that way it's internationally capable. We've got our X, Y, Z, and B proximity switches, as well as room for a couple more if we ever need to upgrade this enclosure. We've got our power switch over here on the right. On the left, we've got, not only do we have our 110 or 220 power switch on the pass-through for accessing it on the 36 volt power supply, the Meanwell power supply inside. We've also got our control cable. This is basically going straight over to the Masso controller. It provides not only power and grounding, but also the signals for all 4 of our proximity switches. So there's 6 wires in there, of course. The next 2 connections are for the LED power strip, if you purchase that, as well as another accessory. So both of these are 24-volt power, available for any kind of accessory or whatnot. We'll have these special connectors on our website soon enough, so that you can, if you wanted to order it and make your own LED lights or whatnot, so long as they're 24 volts and don't take more than an amp or so of power, you can definitely use those 2 ports. The next 5 ports here are actually 36 volt, and it's all listed right here. Next to each port is a listing of exactly what it is. These 5 ports give you the power for one, or let's see, if you have a rotary or something, you can plug that in there and that'll get your 36 volts there. We've got our X, Y, Z, and B, all of those there. And of course the rotary is considered the A axis. So those are the 5 axis power. Here we are with our stepper cables. This is a very special cable we had custom made just for our machines and our conversion kits. It is a dual wire, so there's 2 wires that are kind of attached together as it's extruded through the machine. And you can peel these apart, just like many of the XYZ blocks or something like that you're probably familiar with already. The key thing about this cable is one of the cables is a 2-conductor controlling the power. So it provides power to the main power to the stepper. The other cable is a 6-core wire that carries your encoder signals as well as your enable and your alarm signals. Both cables are double shielded inside, keeping you from having EMI interference. And I had the manufacturer, this is another special one, is there are 2 places on this wire as you travel down the connector side that has this heat shrink out in the middle of nowhere, right? These are stop gaps, so you can stop where you take your wire. So it initially comes like this, but obviously your controller and the power box are kind of separated. So you can separate the wire because obviously one goes to the controller and one goes to the power box. If you need that additional space, like you've got the controller a little further away from the power box, that's what the second heat shrink is. Just cut the first one off, peel the wire down a little further, and that gives you a bigger separation. You know, almost, I believe this is roughly 6 feet of separation. So you can have the controller and the power box roughly 6 feet apart. The reason why we went with that is the main power and proximity sensors that go from the power box into the Masso to power the Masso is 6 foot long. So it kind of makes sense that the separation would be roughly 6 foot long. I do want to point out one little thing. The reason why we're talking about the individual components is, although I have 20 different machines in my collection, it's impossible for me to upgrade every single one of them or convert every single one of these machines. So I've converted a variety of machines, and now a lot of my focus, because I'm the main engineer here, whenever I have to focus on one particular project or another, sometimes I have to shift to a different project. And right now, the highest priority is our Dominator CNC machine. So the conversion kit is part of it, but converting our entire collection of CNC machines using our conversion kit is kind of a low priority. If you have specific questions on your particular machine that you're trying to convert, reach out. I'm definitely willing to troubleshoot, give you some ideas. I can even whip up a design or two if you're trying to place the proximity switches in certain locations, in certain orientations. I'm sure I can whip out a design or something. We can probably even print it right here. If you need 3D design files of certain components, reach out. We're definitely willing to help you there. So if you needed the proximity switches so you can get the exact size and dimensions, if you have dimensional requests, like even on our CNC machine or any of our products, reach out. We'll try to whip up something to give you the answers that you're seeking. So let's dig in a little closer on some of the components. I'm zooming in on the right side of the Shapeoko Pro. And the reason I'm doing that is I wanted to point out some of our proximity switches. Here is our proximity cable. It's got a Molex connector, a 3-pin Molex connector on one side, as well as the switch. And this is actually the stock Shapeoko switch. Try to use your existing proximity switches if appropriate. How you mount these is going to be very important as far as making sure that it gets triggered in the right location. And you can usually tell when something is triggered by putting a piece of metal, either a knife or a screwdriver or something like that, and you can actually see if the proximity switch is working, at least functionally so. Not necessarily that the signal is getting to the control box, but you can tell that it's there or not. Here we are on the right side of the Dominator, and you can see I've got the acrylic plates. These are the prototype plates. They're obviously going away, but I am definitely going to run some carbs and try to break that thing. That's going to be interesting how much force it takes to break certain components on our machine. But I've got the our boom back here in the back. Let me push that out of the way. But I've got our X proximity switch mounted inside this gantry plate to further protect it and keep it out of the way from any interference. But the cable runs down the side and in there. The reason I'm showing you this on the conversion kit is, one, it's our conversion kit on the Dominator, but two, you may need to design something special to hold your proximity switch and make sure that it gets triggered by some piece of metal that's either coming across. Up here on the Z, I had to design a little piece that mounts to the back of the gantry, up and over, so that the proximity switch could be pointing in the correct direction in order to catch the X plate here on the front. Here I've kind of zoomed in on the left side of the HDM. I've added our second proximity switch. Now this is a situation where you may need to reach out to us and we may need to do a little swap or change your proximity switch. So we have a couple different sizes. In fact, let me grab that real quick. So these are two different types of proximity switches, top triggering. This one is face triggering, as in the face has to be pointed in the correct direction to trigger the metal. I mean, that's where it comes in, gets closer, and then it triggers the metal. This face one can be used in various situations and may be necessary for your particular situation, so you may need to swap out the default face triggering for the top triggering sensors. In this case, the HDM, that's actually what I did here. I'm using their stock mount. They've actually carved out of my HDM. They may do it on others as well, but they've got top triggering sensors right here. And these top triggering sensors are triggered off from, in this case, that little thumb screw right there. Now, I've got a small supply of those thumb screws, but I know exactly which ones are on Amazon. So reach out if you have an HDM and you're trying to convert it, and you're trying to get that second proximity switch, the left side proximity switch, or the B side. I'm trying to get that one to work properly so that your gantry adjusts correctly. That thumb screw is going to be vital, and this is one of their earlier machines, so hopefully they haven't changed that. If they have changed it, you're going to have to find a different way to mount the switches. One recommendation would be to take our face switches here, kind of mount it vertically so it gets triggered by the back gantry plate as it reaches back to a certain point. And you'll want to mount both proximity switches in the exact same way, either using a 3D print that maybe snaps into place or something to hold this in the right orientation. Otherwise, there's ways that you can adapt whatever your machine has to our proximity switches situation. This is our second machine we've ever converted. This is the Machinist, the small machine. Now, their machining has stall homing. Basically, whenever the gantry gets to the very end, whenever the motor detects that it's hit the end of the gantry and starts stalling, the stepper motor starts stalling, that's a signal that gets sent back to the controller, and the controller knows, hey, that must be the end, and stop there. I like the precision of actual proximity switches, so that's what we've got on here. Now, in this case, I haven't taken the time yet to design a proximity bracket, a 3D printed bracket that can hold the proximity switch in the exact same position every time. I've literally got it painter's taped onto the side of the machine, which it does work perfectly fine. The main purpose of this machine is for testing our ATC motors, running through the variety of tool changes and events and that sort of thing. So precision machining, this machine isn't worthy of doing any machining in its current state. Therefore, painters taped proximity switches are perfectly fine. Here we are on the left side. So this is the B motor of our Dominator. This is the 3 nanometer motor. It is longer than the 2 nanometer motor, so you need to be aware of that because it will stick out further in the back of the machine. I've been in IT and computers for decades, so cable management is extremely important to me. So on our machine, we've got all kinds of 3D printed accessories that are non-functional. This one happens to be functional because this is a prototype, but this will be replaced by aluminum. But anywhere we can build convenience, simplification, we'll even have the file available so you can actually print as many of these in whatever color you want, personalize your machine. But these are all non-functional parts other than the fact that they are for cable management, keeps everything nice, clean, and out of the way. This is a simple example of our steppers. Now, on the side, you'll see there's a groove in between the stepper and the driver. This is the driver's backpack is what they call it. So we've taken our 2-wire stepper controller, which goes into our power and into our encoder line, and we've kind of positioned that so the wires come down back and down that channel so that it has a nice curve right into our cable management. Now, our cover, we designed this specifically so that it can incorporate cable management in there. So our machine does not move. It will not go anywhere, especially on our on the static leveling feet. But just in case it does, I wanted to cover all of my bases. I've read on several forums related to different machines that use a similar style of stepper motor where the vibration of the machine literally damages the connectors that are on the backpack of the stepper. And when that happens, you have to replace the entire stepper because the electronics can only be worked on in the factory. So what I've taken the approach of is let's control that wire way over here towards the front, which is where you're going to run your wires anyways. Have the connectors nice, safe, and sound and protected under a cover because that's what the cover is for. There's a little notch here on the front. You're going to bring it in like this after you've run your cable, and you may need to kind of hold it there because at first it doesn't want to stay, but after you've got the connector on, you can pull this off and you notice it's staying perfectly in position. Kind of hold that into position. You're going to lift it up, make sure these LED lights are out of the way. Just kind of pull that up because there is a little tower that comes down with a piece of acrylic which transfers these 2 lights up to the outside of the cover. So we're going to pull this back and that lip is going to grab the front and then it's going to slide down. Now, our covers are oriented, so you get 2 of one side and 2 of the other. The intention is these wires are going to run on the inside for the 2 back Ys, so you're going to get a left and a right. The Z and the X are going to have the other left and right. And you'll tell, depending on how you want to wire it, which ones you want to use. If you want to get these files, reach out, we'll make arrangements for that. Bring it back like this and just kind of rock it into position. Now, once it's in position, you're going to use, I should have mentioned this earlier, pull these long 2 screws out of the backpack. And once you get that cover on, then you can put these back into position through the holes in the back. Now, you could bring our stepper wire down the back if you want. We left that open on purpose so you can bring that wire straight down the back, but I'd recommend just running it right down that channel so there's less stress that might be put onto these 2 electrical connectors. Here is a fine example of the reason why our conversion kit is not literally plug and play, but it is as plug and play as we can make it. Many times our cables, our stepper cables, the dual cable, it is pretty thick and it may overwhelm whatever your stock cable chain is. If you're installing our conversion kit onto some other machine, you may need to upgrade the cable chain. And when that happens, you may also need to upgrade the mounting system. In the case of the Shipoko, I built this little plate It has holes that allow you to mount to the stock cable chain mount, but then it extends a little wider to grab onto the 18 by 50 cable chain. I encourage you, if you don't have the design skills or whatnot to kind of design unique situations like this, bring your question up in our forum. Forum has become a lot more active. We've got many people who are capable of design work as well as fusion skills and can design special parts to tackle unique situations like this. Just know that you may need to design special adapters, maybe put an L bracket or something like that to add or modify a cable chain, or to add or modify proximity switches or something like that. This is a unique thing. It's unique to the machine. Ultimately, installing the conversion kit is on you. However, we are here to help. We're the experts on the conversion kit, and we can tell you exactly how it works and how it's supposed to work. But mechanically, you may need to solve a couple unique mechanical solutions in order to get the kit fully installed. All right, here we are in the back of the HDM. It's kind of messy. I've got acrylic and aluminum sitting everywhere. I need to kind of clean it up. But I did want to point out that the HDM comes with 11 millimeter shafts. NEMA 23 basically defines the size of these 4 holes. The size of the shaft is also important. So here's the shaft of the stepper. This is the actual part that gets moved by the motor itself. So the majority of the machines in our collection have got their shaft, they're about 21 millimeters long. So I wanted our shaft of our steppers on our conversion kit and the Dominator to be 21 millimeters, to be similar to every other machine out there. That way it gives the maximum opportunity for the most machines to be converted with minimal effort. That said, there are some machines that are an exception. On this one machine, unlike all of their other machines, the Shapeoko 5, the 3, 4, the Pro, this one, they decided to go with an 11 millimeter shaft. So the shaft is a lot smaller. Their shaft it's a little stubby thing. So the problem is when you go to mount it, the shaft is going to bump into your screw, which is down here in the bottom, and it's not going, the coupler won't work right. So I had to use 10 millimeter spacers on the both Ys. Your machine, depending on the size of your stock steppers, you may need to add spacers, just like I did here on the HDM. Hopefully, I've covered as many use cases for our conversion kit as possible, both on the Shapeoko 5 Pro, the Dominator, our converted machinist over there, as well as our HDM. The mechanical challenges we're leaving up to you to solve. Our conversion kit is the electronics, all of that. So all that's solved, all that's wired, pre-wired, it's all plug and play as far as the functionality of the electronics. But the mechanics, you're still going to have to solve. Reach out, we'll definitely help you. Support at ponecnc.com. We're happy to help you out. Sometimes designing special features, like I mentioned in the cable chain, it requires design work. We're happy to help if we have some free time and give you a free file where we'll design the special piece for you so that you can mount the proximity switch in the right place. We've also got the proximity switches designed in 3D so that you can grab that, design your own piece if you need that help. I also recently found out that my use of Fusion 360 is significantly different than everybody else's, the way they use Fusion 360. Most people take the approach of design, the actual design or the drawing, and then extrude out from there. I take more of a clay molding situation. So I threw out the objects and then I carve away or I add material to it. I literally shape it like an object inside of Fusion. And that's how I'm able to come up with these very unique designs. It's very fluid in the way I think of how to use Fusion. And I will come out with a video series. That unique approach may help you use Fusion and get into designing more and unique parts, just like I do with our dust boots, our clamping, the hose clamps, all of our products. Even the Dominator is designed inside of Fusion and I'll make a rough 3D file for that so that you guys can build your own accessories for our machine. Our machine, I want it to be a platform that everybody can build on. I encourage you. There are several really cool dust boots out there, automated dust boots that were already designed for other machines, but specifically for our ATC system. A couple really cool ones that are automatically raise up and out of the way. If you guys comment, I'll pin your designs up to the top of the comments so that everybody can have access to those and link on where to buy those and whatnot. But we are makers. We love this stuff. This is what we hobbied in. We were fortunate enough through your support to turn this into a full-time gig. And with your continued support, we're hoping to continue to do this full-time. The designs and everything, we want to encourage makers. We want an entire maker community. We want people to design stuff for our machine. I've got lots of cool ideas that I think would be neat to add on there. If you want to talk designs, reach out. I'll talk to you about it. There are lots of cool things like adding the external e-stops, whether it's electronic. I know I've got one that I've been working on for a long time called the IoT manual override switch. I've got it designed, and now that I've got a manufacturing crew, we will get that manufactured so I can get that released. I want you guys to know that we are here to help. We are passionate about this. I hope this translates through the camera, how passionate I am about this. Very excited that we've got our own platform. I keep thinking it's over here. Our own platform, as in the machine, to build off from. So our accessories, anything I come up with now, will start here and then we'll grow. We're not going to lose it. We're not going to leave anybody behind. We don't care which machine you have. Whether you have our machine, whether you have a converted machine, whether you have someone else's machine, we love CNCing. We want to help you guys with the cool accessories, cool functionality, make the workflow easy, simple to do, things like our CA glue, clamping, dust hose. We want to help you guys out, and we want you guys to help out too. So if you got a great design that you want to manufacture, go for it. We want you to do that. Send us a link to it so we can look into it, and we may actually start recommending that to our customers, especially if we believe it. We don't want a free one. We don't want you to send us a free one. If we're intrigued enough by it, we'll buy it so that we can support you in your efforts to either have a side gig or hopefully a main gig of your own. But we want the machine to be a platform for everybody to grow on. And again, that's the reason why we say the Dominator is the last machine you'll ever need to buy, because we're going to all grow on it. We're all going to build a great machine together. It all starts with a base machine, but again, we're talking about the conversion kit here, not the Dominator. That's another video. Sorry, I'm getting a little carried away. The conversion kit, it's all there. Reach out if you have questions, comments, suggestions. We're all listening. We definitely want your input. We listen to you. We will make changes if the changes make sense so that it improves the situation for everybody. Even if it's a niche machine, a niche improvement, and it only helps certain people, that's fine. We want you to reach out. We want you to let us know what it is. Maybe we'll start a catalog of them and create a little section in our website that we'll link off to everybody else's creations because we think they're that cool, and we want a community that works together. Remember, don't just own your CNC, dominate it.